I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people, not 2006.
Oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like...
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and listening to Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week as the NFL 25-26 season is officially over, Austin, as we are recording the day after the Super Bowl, where the Seahawks got their revenge and defeated the New England Patriots.
Yeah, so this was a game that it was close on the scoreboard for a large part of it, but it was not close in the game. I hate when announcers say that a team didn't have a chance. The Patriots had a chance in this game, and I think people gave up on them a little bit too quickly in this game. When it was 19-7 and the Patriots had the ball, if they score a touchdown on that drive, they're in the game. What happened, the problem was Drake May threw a terrible pick. Like a pick that I know who he was throwing through. He was throwing through Kyle Williams, but he missed him by a good 5 yards. Like, it was not close. And that throw really did kind of put a nail in the coffin. Obviously, the Seahawks scoring that defensive touchdown. The Patriots scored more offensive touchdowns than the Seahawks did. The only difference in this game was that the Seahawks had a method to get some yards, and the Patriots really didn't. I think Drake May looked a little bit scared out there. His O-line played atrocious, but he also was partially to blame. The defense, though, was amazing for the Patriots. I don't think enough people give them credit for what they were able to do. Sam Darnold didn't have a great game. His completion percentage was around 50%. He did have that one touchdown throw to A.J. Barner, which was the only offensive touchdown of the game for the Seahawks. But they win this game just by moving the ball some and their defense just dominating what looked to be scared Drake May.
Yeah, and it was, that moment was close until that pick, and it was like, okay, maybe they could come back. Because if you look at it, they have an experienced offense coordinator in Josh McDaniels. But this is an offense that was still under progress, and they did just enough to win and get here against good defenses. But Seattle was ready for him. I think you could see them messing with Drake May's timing, getting pressure, finding ways to get sacks, and attacking that offensive line that is young. That left side for Drake May was two rookies, and they gave up a lot of pressure. So I think they just found ways to confuse them. I think there was one to where they just sent everyone, and May just wasn't able to see what the defense was showing him.
Well, I think an important statistic for this game is that Will Campbell allowed 14 pressures, and that's the most any offensive lineman allowed all season in one game. You can't win a game like that. Drake May did not do a good enough job, like you kind of mentioned, diagnosing that pressure and kind of audibling out. He also, like I said, didn't take enough chances when they could have taken chances, and when he wanted to take a chance, it was the worst throw I've ever seen. The defense, I can't give enough credit to Craig Woodson, the safety, who had 3 tackles for loss and played amazing. Carlton Davis, who had won a Super Bowl previously with Tom Brady and the Bucs, looked amazing. And obviously Christian Gonzalez, who I think has stapled himself firmly into a top 3 corner in the league. This defense played amazing. Sure, there was a couple of plays here and there, and Sam Darnold threw a lot of scary passes that could have been picks. There was like 3 of them that was like, oh no, that's a pick. Oh no, that's a pick. But Sam Darnold did a good job keeping the ball out of harm's way. And this game was won by the defense, Kenneth Walker, and Jason Myers. I'll give credit to the Seattle O-line, especially in run blocking. I thought the run blocking was very good. But JSM was hurt for a large part of this game. Cooper Kupp was decent. A.J. Barner was good. But Sam Darnold had a pedestrian game, while Drake May had a horrific game. And sometimes all you need from your QB is a pedestrian game. Just don't turn the ball over. and keep your team in it. Make good audibles at the line of scrimmage, and that's all they needed from Sam Darnold. I don't like when the announcers and everyone talking about the game tries to make it too much about the QB. I think this was one of the most team victories I've seen in a long time for a Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, and from team, it was just the defense, and it really embodied the personality, both teams, of their head coach. Vrabel, I think you could argue about who has the better quarterback, and I think you could argue May or Darnold, but that is not what led them here. It was their defenses and their offense doing just enough. Seattle has the potential to be more high scoring, but Jackson Smith, JSN, really dealt with a lot of difficult injuries, so he wasn't a huge factor. And they didn't need Sam Darnold to make the key throws. They had their defense slow down or basically stop the Patriots. And I think that goes to how well built this team is and kind of what it looks like, because you do have the Seahawks and Pete Carroll mutually agreeing to part ways. Bring in Mike McDonald, and then 2 years later, you are winning the Super Bowl with a new quarterback, new wide receiver one in JSN. And it was a team win and a really interesting one on roster construction in the NFL.
This game reminds me a lot of the 2015 Broncos. Not to say that Sam Darnold played as bad as Peyton Manning did with no shoulder, but this entire season, yeah, they had some good games offensively where they put up a lot of points, but they win this game purely off of grit and being able to dominate both sides of the ball and just control the game. And that's all they had to do. The Patriots have, in my opinion, a top 3 defense in the league. I'd argue that the Patriots defense is better than the Seahawks, but the way that the Patriots offense played was just atrocious. I hope Jason Myers gets his flowers. He's been a very unspoken player for this team. He single-handedly beat Phillip Rivers. They had 18 points in that game, and he scored 18 points, which is pretty remarkable. I did find it really funny when they showed the stat that he's now had the most points in a season for any player, passing with Danny and Tomlinson, if you include postseason, which is pretty remarkable. And he's one of the heartbeats of this team. He had 5 field goals in this game, obviously made both of his extra points. Scoring 17 points as a kicker in the Super Bowl is extremely impressive. He broke the record for the most kicks made in a Super Bowl. And him and Kenneth Walker were the major reasons, and their O-line were the major reasons why they win this game offensively. And a defensively complete team unit, whether it's Derek Hall or all the other people who got sacks. Obviously, Devin Witherspoon played amazing. Just an all-around great effort by a Seahawks defense that is really well coached. But I just hope, the team that had the better special teams today or yesterday when we watched the game won. Michael Dixon's also one of the best punters in the league. So having one of the best punters, one of the best kick returners is Rashid Shaheed, even though he didn't make an impact on this game in the return game. That can win you a Super Bowl, and it obviously did.
Yes, and it did. And talking about Jason Myers, I was having a fun debate with my mom about who should get Super Bowl MVP. I was on Kenneth Walker, but I understood Jason Myers because of all the points he scored and the field goals. And to me, what Seattle did, where I think you already mentioned it, was Seattle gained yards through their run game, where New England just could not gain yards during the.
I think their play calling when calling runs were a little bit weird. I think they only ran like 2 plays with Travion Henderson that were outside zone runs, which is what he's mainly good at. And I don't understand why they decided to do that, especially because that is his forte. The drive that kind of spelled the end for the Patriots, in my opinion, was the drive where they started out with a 9-yard run by Travion Henderson. Then they tried a run up the middle with Travion. Okay, if you're going to run up the middle, either put in Ramondre Stevenson or switch it from a run in the middle and a run around the edge. It doesn't matter if it's an and one situation. You have to send Travion Henderson around the edge because he's not physical enough with how poor your offensive line played. Because if you look at those run plays, they got pushed back a lot. And then the next play, Drake May throws an incompletion and they punt. They don't go for it on 4th and 1. So, yeah, Sam Darnold did just enough to win this game, and that's all you need. I'm very happy for Sam Darnold. I think that he's one of the players that deserves it. Seeing how crazy it is winning back-to-back seasons with 14 games, now obviously leading a team to a championship. But he's not – when I'm going to think about this Super Bowl and this championship, he's like 5th on my mind of the guys you put this on. I mean, if you look at the season in retrospect, I'm going to think of JSN. I'm going to think of Kenneth Walker in this game. I'm going to think of Jason Myers in this game. I think of Devon Witherspoon in this game. I'm going to think of Mike McDonald. I'm going to think about how well their team came together and how impressive. It is cool to me that the last 2 teams that I think were true team victories that seemed like every piece just fit perfectly like a puzzle were both coached by a Kubiak. Gary Kubiak was the head coach of the Broncos back in 2015 when they won a title. And now Clint Kubiak was the OC for the Seattle Seahawks, and now he's going to be the Raiders head coach. So I do find that a little bit funny.
Yeah, it is a little bit funny, especially thinking from the offense not being dominated by the quarterback. It was really a well-balanced offense. And you talk about Seattle, McDonald, of course, I think of that defense of just how together they were and such a unit they were. But this team, yes, they did change quarterbacks this offseason, but they also changed offensive coordinators. And they brought in Clinton Kubiak from the Saints. And now you have that, but now you got to find a new guy as Clinton Kubiak
Yeah,
is leaving.
losing Kubiak, I think, is a bigger deal than a lot of people are going to make it out to be. He was amazing for the Saints the first 2 games when everyone was healthy and everyone got hurt on that Saints team, and they really lost it, including Shaheed, who they ended up picking up for this year. It's going to be hard to replicate this offensively. I think their defense is set in stone. I think it's a top 5 defense. I don't think it's top 3. I don't think it's Texans, Broncos, or Patriots, but it's top 5, and you could definitely make the playoffs just based off of this defense alone. However, I do think this offense, even though you have Jason and Sam Darnold, who's played well in back-to-back years, and Kenneth Walker, who they have to re-sign, mind you, but I do think it's going to be hard to replicate this on the offensive side of the ball.
Yes, you have the players there, and they didn't have a terrible year last year. They had 10 wins, but they missed the playoffs, and the next year they win the Super Bowl. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do and how McDonald grows from this because he is still a young coach. He knows how to call the defense and to get them going as the head coach, but now it's figuring out what he sees in the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and it's going to be a little bit difficult, like I said, but they'll remember this for a while. It's not as seamless as the last time they won a Super Bowl, where it seemed like, okay, the future looks bright. Right now, I don't know. I remember us talking about an extension for Sam Darnold. Do you think they still wait another year, or post Super Bowl championship, do you extend him?
I think they wait another year.
Okay.
I think he wasn't the main driver, but we could see what happens. They might. I'm curious what they do with Kenneth Walker, but I think they wait on Sam Darnold and try to figure out the offensive coordinator first.
Okay. I wouldn't say it's crazy though to re-sign him.
Oh no, it's not
Or
crazy
extend
at all. You won the Super Bowl. You can basically do whatever you want. You kind of have
him.
financially, like you can because you have that Super Bowl and you have about 10 years, I would say, in the NFL to kind of navigate that and enjoy it, which is kind of close to what Seattle did the last time when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, even though they were in it the next year and were definitely competing for a couple of years there. We can quickly go over our NFL playoff predictions. I did end up winning. I'm trying to come back. You've been up with me in the all-time. We will be reviewing the entire NFL season predictions to kind of go through that and see who won, because I think that one's going to be a little bit more tight than this, because this one was 17-7. Did anything shock you majorly these playoffs besides maybe the Seahawks winning it? Is there anything that stuck out to you?
I think Broncos Bills. I had the Broncos playing the Bills, and I had the Bills beating the Broncos. And I think when you look at the Bills game, and this looked like a prime year for the Bills, and Josh Allen had a poor game. And that was surprising given just how well he's played this year and last year.
I agree. I do think that's a game to note. That in my opinion, while Josh Allen made some great plays in that game, he lost him the game, and it sucks to say it. And I want Josh Allen to succeed. My dad was mad when the Bills lost. He kind of likes the Bills right now, but at the end of the day, Josh Allen has no one to blame besides himself. This isn't like the Chiefs one where he lost and there was bad overtime rules. Okay, we can blame the bad overtime rules. Here, there's no one to blame besides himself.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm interested in how a lot of these teams, because it was a lot of new teams, which was a little bit difficult to predict, even though you had the number ones facing each other. So I'm very excited to see what teams build on from this, especially Chicago's. They came back and they beat Green Bay in the wild card. So I'm very interested to see what happens. And then you have an older team like the Rams who are still trying to get it done.
Yeah, this was a year for a team that was a little bit unexpected to win it. Whether that's Mahomes obviously missing the playoffs, even though he got hurt, they were going to miss the playoffs anyway at that point because I don't think they come back to win that game. But kind of a turning of the tide. One last question. How confident are you in the Raiders' ability to grow this upcoming season now that they have Kubiak? Do you think that he'll be able to kind of right the ship, or do you think that the Raiders can't save themselves from themselves?
I think it's going to take a little bit of a while because you mentioned everyone getting hurt on the Saints, but also there were better players for that Seahawks offense. I think an underrated part of that team is their offensive line. I want to say they have 3 first round players on that offensive line. You have Charles Cross, who I want to say was like a top 15 pick. Gray Zabel, the left guard, was this past year's first round pick. And I want to say Lucas was also a first round pick. So you go from the offensive line. Darnold had a great year, and then JSN and Cooper's Cup to the you have him going to the Raiders, where you really have Ashton Genty. Yes, you do get the number 1 overall pick, but there is a lot that needs
Well, you can't
work
forget Brock
on.
Bowers.
Yeah, you do have Brock Bowers. I think you do have those weapons, but I do think offensive line is concern, and it's going to be difficult with building that run game and kind of giving the protection when needed. I might be
Yeah, that's a
wrong
good point.
about Abram Lucas. Yep, I am wrong about Abram Lucas. He was in a 3rd round pick in the 2022 NFL draft. So it might just be that left side of the line is Charles Cross and Gray Zabel.
Yeah, but I'm optimistic. That's how I'll phrase it. I'm optimistic.
I think they'll be fun, but I think it's going to take a little bit. So
I think that's a good way to put it.
let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.